Hello, Professor Urban here. Time to talk about the mBot. And my plan here is to go ahead and open up the mBot and walk you through it. So there it is. I could put myself here, but as soon as I move over to where that is, it'll take me out of the picture. So I will remove myself. This is the mBot box. As no one in this group has been able to receive it, but I have. And it looks like that. It should look familiar. Opening it up, you can see a brand new mBot. And this is how it comes. You can see here the part that goes on the top with some connectors. And this would have to be assembled and attached by those screws. Here are some attachment hardware. Here are the here's the base of it. So it comes in a bunch of pieces like that. And I could keep digging down through here and it would just be one piece after another. Instead, let me show you what it looks like after it's been put together. I will remove that and put the assembled mBot in front of your eyes. There it is. Now, what have we got in our hands? Let's take a look at it from an engineering point of view. This is the top view. And then I can flip it over and show a side view. So there's a side view. And the bottom, so you can see where all the different parts are mounted. And then the bottom view, and you can, let's start here. The bottom has two motors, the yellow objects, and a line follower device, which if I move it around and tilt it, you could maybe get a little bit better idea what it is if I can coordinate my movements. That is not going to move it. There we go. And it has a little roller, this little black wheel, and it has a couple of optical sensors here. And the idea is that if it's placed on the ground, that those sensors will tell you whether it's reflecting or not reflecting, so it can be used to make it follow a line. And the little roller is what makes the front of it move on the surface of whatever it is you're doing. And the wheels, there are two wheels, you can see them, each driven by a motor, and if they're both driven at the same speed, it's going to go straight. If they're in different speeds, it's going to make it turn. That's how steering is accomplished. Now if I flip it over here to the front, you can see that there are a couple of optical or audio sensors on there that basically looking sonar, looking at something in the distance and telling you the distance to something. You may or may not need to use it or want to use it. I'll try to focus that a little better. And on the below the equipment here on the top, which contains the electronics, is a little shelf, and the shelf holds the batteries. There's the batteries. And I highly recommend that when you're not using it, do not leave the batteries connected. That way you don't accidentally discharge the batteries. Then underneath this cover, which I hope will pop right off, you can get a better look at what's going on the device itself. Let me zoom in. Well, let me focus. Well, it's as good as it'll get. And around on the top of that, you can see the little squares labeled 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'll tilt it because it's getting an ugly reflection. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and those are connectors. and one of them is actually connected. 3 is connected. They're not all connected. There are other connectors. There are buttons. There are integrated circuits on the circuit board. You're basically looking at a circuit board with things mounted on it. And then on the back and on the front, there are extra attachment points for things that you might want to attach, or if you wanted to do something that isn't included. And there's a little M on the bottom. How cute. So basically that is the the mBot. And so what is the point of it all? I'm going to look in this box and see what else I might have to show you. Oh, this is I should show you this. Some of these came with an additional item, which is a optical sensor. It's very high tech. Super cool. I'll get that out of there and put it in. There's the box. It's called Pixie. There, I'll flip it. It's called Pixie, and if you open it up, and this thing is a lot of fun. Your kit may or may not have it. Oh, I see some batteries, and I don't see any Pixie in there. So the idea is that the Pixie can look at things and tell you the distance, find an object, tell you the distance. It's incredible what it can do. It has processing power right on it. Let me see if I've got it in this box. I didn't double check that. Too bad. Well, I have a lot of other junk. Hardware, screwdrivers, remote control. Unfortunately, I don't have the Pixie, but every kit is going to be a little different because they've been used by students in the past. And they may or may not have put everything back the way it should be. So let's talk about what I would like to see you do with that. First, I will adjust the volume because I think it's too high. Now, what are we going to do with that? In some of the kits also, there's a big white sheet of paper with a big figure 8 on it, a black line. You're not tied to that, but you could use it. One of the projects could be configure the mBot, write a piece of program, transfer that program from the computer using a wire. So you're going to have a wire that looks like this, and on one end, on the other end, USB to connect to the computer. So the computer goes to the USB, this guy goes into the mBot, and you have to learn how to do this and follow the instructions. So you write the program using Scratch plus the add-on for mBot. You plug it in, you transfer the program to the mBot, you disconnect the mBot from the computer so it can run free, and one of the things you can program it to do is, and I don't recommend starting out tough, just start out having it flash some lights or move a little bit or something so that you get an idea how to do the transfer, how to write the program, transfer it, and things like that. There's a lot of steps. Now, and they're not all, they're all easy once you've done them, but when you're learning it's a little bit confusing. Expect that. The mBot is made of a bunch of different components made by different companies, and they have to work together. And it's not, ready-made to be a simple button pressing activity. So the idea is one of the things you could do with your mBot as the project, it would be rather simple, but you could do it, is to write the program so that it will follow the black line and go around and around in the kind of in the figure 8 shape that's on the black line. A little more creative might be to have it wander through the room, and when it gets close to a wall, stop, back up, turn, and avoid obstacles. That's kind of a cool one. The sky's the limit, and that's the kind of the creative part of it. If you're having some trouble, I'll do some help. Now, In terms of taming this thing, you've got a team. Everybody should be working together. Each person should be agreeing amongst yourselves who should do what, and you have to solve these problems of your own. That's what teamwork is all about, and that's part of the project, is to do the teamwork. So let me reiterate. I hand you an mBot, a box with a bunch of parts and some web URLs, and you can look at those and learn, and I expect that. So that's a very important part of this whole project, is that you be resourceful. Don't expect to get everything handed to you. You're going to have to, you got a lot handed to you. You've got the mBot and a lot of URL resources. After that, the resourcefulness is for you to go about and solve a problem. That is a very important part of engineering. Then once you start to understand it and play with it, quote unquote, and engineers are always using that term, I will play with it, meaning they'll do experiments, then you can start thinking about what kind of project that you want to put together that would look good and would show your skills. If you have getting stuck on that, I can give some guidance, but I would rather have you sort of figure it out. Look on YouTube, see other projects in the past, things like that. Put it together, and then the rest is pretty well spelled out in the outline. The steps that you have to do to complete this project, all the way through to the point where you make a presentation. I hope this has been helpful and lets you know very explicitly why this is not perfectly crisply defined with every step handed to you as far as what it is you should do, A, B, C, like that. It's more or less throwing you a problem with some help and some guidance and a piece of equipment and a general goal, which is to make an mBot do something. And then it's up to you to be resourceful, think for yourself, be creative, and try to do something fun. I've seen some really fun projects in the past. I hope this helps, and for your attention, I salute you.